story. Okay? Now, this is what you need to listen to. Something very extraordinary. In the late 70s, around 78, 79, right? Okay, this is what happened. A lot of people are not aware of. America dropped the first chemical war bomb in Cambodia and killed 2,600 people in a village. And they got busted for this. This became international pressure and was on TV all over the world, right? But you can't even look it up on Google, right? A lot of people my age will remember this. So what happened here is America got busted for testing the first chemical war bomb in Cambodia and killed a village and wiped out a village of 2,600 people. And it hit international news all over the world, right? Huge issue. America busted for doing this. And of course, America was never going to admit to that, just like everything else, right? They lied their teeth out about everything, right? So understand this. There was only one professor, right, that could build this bomb, this first chemical war bomb. Right, now that professor, I will give you his name, as known as Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester was the most dedicated scientist and professor with NASA, who was working with all the scientists from Hitler on meth programs and made many different types of amphetamines and meth. He was the king and he was the absolute leader in constructing new recipes for all these things. Meth is also practically the same as a chemical bomb with just a few little twists. He was also a chemical bomb expert who created the first chemical warhead and the first chemical bomb that done this job. Now, America could not take responsibility for this. They couldn't take responsibility for this because this was really ugly. So they claimed, right, that somebody else did it, right, and somebody else set all this shit up, not them. And the only way they could get away with this, right, the only way they could do this was actually point Fester out as if he was the one that built the bomb and sent it to some underground network, some terrorist network that dropped it. So I want you to consider this. Fester was a Nobel Prize winner. Okay, he was dedicated his life, right, to his research and all the things he was doing, right? He wasn't the type of person who was evil in any way, shape or form, but they were going to use him as a fool guy. But I want you to pay attention to the story, right, because you need to be aware of something about Fester, right, and understand what really happened here. Right, because it's extraordinary. So it's all over the world, right? It's all over the world, right? And this is becoming so big that they want to watch the court case inside the courtroom so that no one gets cheated. Okay, so Europe, right, put on international pressure to see this case on live TV, and so did the whole of Asia, right? So this became a very complicated issue, right? A very complicated issue, but it had to be dealt with immediately. So let me tell you something, right? This is exactly what happened, and this is exactly why you need to seriously be aware. Seriously be aware. Fester goes to court, and you don't go to court without a lawyer, right? Unless you're a barrister or something like that, right? Unless you're completely confident within yourself, right? Fester comes to court without a lawyer, and he's green, right? He's the most green person you could ever get. But this is what happens. He's accused for killing 2,600 people and facing the electric chair, yet he's innocent, completely innocent. I just want you to think about these things, right? Because in my opinion, this is constructed, right, perfectly, okay, perfectly. And I know more about this, and I'm about to let you know that later in the story. That's going to blow your mind away. My connection with this is unbelievable. So Fester goes into court, and this is what he says. He says, Your Honour, with all due respect, okay, I just want to say something to you. I'm the head scientist that creates this. It is my duty to do an outline of submission with the recipe and all the components that goes into this. It is my duty to write out this outline of submission and what the recipe is, and I'm the only one that knows it. It is my duty to take those documents right through Parliament House to deem those documents and to deem this product to be illegal and also to be dangerous. And since that process has not been done yet, and I'm the only one that has the recipe, and such documents have never been filed, for argument's sake, if I was guilty of doing this, right, under the Fifth Amendment, I have a right to build those arms and sell it to anyone without questioning them, okay? But the fact is this outline of submission with this recipe has never been filed to Parliament House and has never been deemed to be legal, right, or dangerous. And considering I'm the one and the only one that knows this, isn't it to stand to basic common sense that if no such document has been provided and this has not been deemed yet, then therefore I cannot be charged for this in any way, shape or form, and I'm not guilty until such time that it's been filed and deemed to be dangerous and deemed to be illegal. Now, with the world watching this, Fester wins the court case on technicality. There was no choice in that, because he was innocent, regardless of what the circumstances was. So consider this. The USA, he's working for the USA, for the government, and anyone who works for the government has their taxes taken out automatically. Everybody knows that. He had worked for the government for more than 20 years, right? And he was a #1 scientist in these projects and worked with the scientists, right, from Hitler, right, who were the head scientists with MDMA, right? And they created MDMA and all the different products of meth and amphetamine. So consider this. This is the situation. America then says, we're going to put him away, don't worry, we're not going to let him get away with this. So they hold on to Fester. Then they charge him on 6 counts of tax evasion. And they want to give him 10 years for each count, one on top of the other, which is 60 years. And they promise the public they're going to do this. So 3 weeks later, Fester comes into court charged for 6 counts of tax evasion. And this is what happens in the tax evasion case. And this is going to get your attention beyond your comprehension. Fester comes in and Fester says, if you put me away for this, I'm going to give you the biggest drug problem, right, that's going to smash into Europe and smash onto Florida shores, and I'm going to, that's it, going to give you the world's biggest problems with drugs, right, that you cannot comprehend and you cannot control. I want you to think about this, okay? Fester threatens the US government and the president himself that if he gets put away from this, he's going to give the world the biggest drug problem. Right? Consider that for a moment, right? Then Fester gets put away for 60 years. As far as the public knows, as far as everybody else knows in the whole world, they think that he's just put away for 60 years. But I know different. I know very different. Right? So, now I want you to listen to me very carefully. His wife and his partner in NASA, and I'm not going to go into names, I'm just going to tell you a very simple story. 2 of his top partners inside NASA working with him moves into Ormo, Australia in 1980. They start 5 massive criminal networks immediately. At this time, I want you to understand something. Amphetamine was sold over the pharmaceutical counters up to 1978 at exactly the same time, right? And this will make you realise it's part of a plan. Okay, it's deemed to be the safest drug in the world, and truckies all over Australia and many people in the building trades, they buy it over the chemistry counters, over the pharmaceutical counters without a prescription, and it's deemed to be the safest drug. More than 80% of our truckies, right, and our whole industry was on amphetamine and buying it over the counter without a prescription. And these are the facts that no one wants to tell you. These are the facts. This was in 1978, right? And then they brought a law in against pseudoephedrine because pseudoephedrine was deemed to be dangerous. It's a synthetic drug, okay? It's made with chemicals, right? And it's man-made. That's why it's called pseudo, okay? Ephedrine comes from a plant called mayhung, right? The original source and the organic source comes from a plant called mayhung, right? When made laboratorily correct, it has no human side effect. And I just want you to consider that for a moment, okay? Now,